My dear child, an unseen tempest brews quietly beneath the surface. It all starts when they finally comprehend that every tear you shed was a result of their actions. They revisit those nights when you wept silently, masquerading as strong, and this memory haunts them like an ever-present shadow. What they once trivialized as mere overreaction now looms large, starkly marked as a grievous fault on their conscience. They acknowledge their words and their negligence. Their choices did not merely cause you pain, they fractured something exquisite, something sacred and irreplaceable. Unexpectedly, fate has cornered them with the undeniable truth they spent months evading, and now they perceive the devastation with clarity. They reflect upon the moments you lingered awake, yearning for their apology, imagining a change, nurturing the hope that they would try, only to end up watching them walk away, oblivious to your silent suffering. Now, every thought of you brings a sinking feeling to their heart, knowing you faced your anguish alone, breaking quietly while feigning resilience. The weight of guilt is suffocating, and it clings to them tenaciously. Each morning, unuttered remorse ignites within them, illuminating the reality that your love for them was purer than they ever realized. They recall your patience, your kindness, your unwavering hope, and now recognize that they treated those precious characteristics as though they were disposable. They mistakenly believed you would always be there, smiling, forgiving, holding on. But when you emotionally distanced yourself, even if still physically present, they sensed the shift. That was the moment their world began to crumble in slow motion. Strangely enough, the universe continues to nudge them with reminders of you. A song, a street, a familiar scent, a location you once mentioned casually, each recollection strikes like a blow to the throat. They are acutely aware that the wounds they inflicted run deeper than words can ever heal, and the dread of losing you for good is unparalleled. They ponder how many times you cried yourself to sleep, longing for them to choose you, respect you, protect you, love you as you truly deserved. Those unanswered wishes now haunt them, ringing like alarms in their minds. Deep inside, a realization is taking root: if they do not act to mend things, they risk losing the only person who ever offered them unconditional love. This unsettling notion keeps them awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, interrogating every selfish choice they ever made. They understand now that your heart did not break by chance, it fractured because of their decisions. The greatest twist lies ahead, as the universe has presented them with a mirror they can no longer evade. Unbelievably, they are currently engaged in a silent struggle each time someone utters your name, as it compels them to confront the truth they have long tried to bury. Their thoughts drift back to those moments when they disregarded your pain, mocked your vulnerability, and overlooked your trembling voice, never comprehending that those minute fissures would eventually escalate into seismic rifts. Presently, every memory weighs heavily upon them, akin to confessions they never intended to utter. Each regret grows more burdensome than the last breath before collapse. They are finally realizing that the tears you concealed did not stem from weakness but were, in fact, warnings from the universe on your behalf. The most astonishing revelation is that they have begun to see themselves through your lens. And it is profoundly disturbing. They never envisioned themselves as the antagonist in this narrative crafted by fate. Yet, now the mirror refuses to deceive them. Their apologies, conceived only in their thoughts, reverberate at midnight, pleading for a chance they may never receive. They scroll through old messages in search of signs that you are still clinging to hope, still waiting. But the ominous stillness terrifies them more than any harsh words could. Silence signifies healing, and healing entails letting go, while letting go amounts to losing you entirely. A peculiar shift is underway. Those around them have begun to notice their change. They have become quieter, more detached. Lost in contemplation that they cannot elucidate without unearthing the truth. Friends inquire about their well-being, but how can one confess to having broken someone who only wished for their happiness? They replay scenes as if watching a movie they cannot pause, your smile waning, your voice wavering, your eyes yearning for respect. The guilt now feels like a weight strapped to their chest, stealing their breath as they envision you wiping away the tears they caused. Yet here lies the aspect that even destiny did not foresee. They dread the thought of another person treating you as they should have from the very beginning. Someone patient, gentle, emotionally mature, someone who will not gamble with your heart as they did. The idea of another hand soothing your tears, another soul safeguarding your tranquility, another presence eliciting your laughter devastates them more than the truth ever could. Because suddenly, losing you evolves from being a mere possibility to a consequence they rightfully deserve, and the universe is acutely aware of it. Nevertheless, a flicker of desperate hope flickers within them, praying that it is not too late. They realize you have arrived at a juncture where strength has supplanted yearning and boundaries have replaced forgiveness. The narrative is shifting, as they come to terms with the fact that the heartbreak they imposed upon you is trivial compared to the heartbreak that awaits them when destiny reveals the next chapter. They have never shared this with anyone, but recently, they have awoken each day engulfed in dread, as if life itself is punishing them for every sleepless night they compelled you to endure. There is a certain poetic irony in the fact that the individual whose actions led you to question your worth is now grappling with their own sense of value. They replay that final moment when the hope in your eyes faded, replaced by self-preservation. This singular shift has morphed into their most profound nightmare. The understanding that your tears stemmed directly from their choices has become an indelible scar on their conscience, one they can no longer obscure behind excuses, distractions, or false bravado. What they did not foresee was the extent of the universe's intervention. Every path they traverse now appears to lead back to you. Your favorite spot materializes in an unexpected advertisement. Your laughter resonates in a stranger's voice. Your thoughts finish themselves in their head, as if fate is compelling them to confront the truths they have avoided for far too long. With each reminder, a silent question shadows their steps. How could they have hurt the one person who sought nothing but love? This question does not dissipate, instead, it intensifies, growing louder, heavier, more unbearable with each passing day, transforming regret into a living, breathing specter. Even the most potent diversions cannot save them at this juncture. They strive to keep busy, smiling in public, feigning that life is good, yet within, they are crumbling. They remember the promises made that were never fulfilled, the dates canceled without explanation, the emotions dismissed under the presumption that you would remain steadfast. Now that you have chosen tranquility over turmoil, they finally grasp what it means to lose a precious gift. Abruptly, the unsent messages, the unvoiced apologies, the undisclosed truths feel like time bombs ticking away within their soul. There is a bitter irony to all this. They once believed you would always be accessible, eternally forgiving, perpetually gentle. Now, they observe from the sidelines as your brilliance returns, your strength rebuilds, your spirit rises from the ashes they created. While the world celebrates your resurgence, they mourn the version of themselves they wish they had embodied for you. Deep down, they recognize that someone like you does not come around twice in a lifetime, and they allowed their ego to gamble with a love that many only dream of. Presently, what terrifies them the most is not your anger but your indifference. Tears signified that you still cared, but silence indicates that you have finally learned to live without them. And destiny, equipped with a sharp sense of justice, is preparing a twist so profound that they will not be ready. For the heartbreak they once inflicted is poised to return, amplified. This time, it will be theirs to bear. No one around them knows this, but the weight of guilt has grown so immense that it follows them like an unwelcome guest, whispering reminders of how brutally they managed your heart. They once believed they could delay emotions, postpone apologies, and trust that love would miraculously mend itself. However, life has taught them a painful lesson. Now, your absence resonates more prominently than your presence ever did, and every silent moment transforms into a courtroom where their conscience reaches the same verdict: they were the reason your pillow was drenched in tears. This realization alone holds the power to shatter the strongest spirit. Recently, an unexpected event transpired when they came across an old photograph of you, one where your eyes radiated innocence, warmth, and belief. At that moment, their hearts sank, recalling precisely what transpired before that image morphed into one of anguish. They remember the promises made in excitement, only to be broken for convenience's sake. They remember the days when you stood by them, even when they gave you every justification to leave. Now, every memory serves as a mirror reflecting a version of themselves they simply cannot forgive. What truly devastates them is the sudden clarity. Your tears were not random emotional outbursts but signals. Warnings, earnest efforts to cling to a connection they consistently took for granted. They recognize now how you stayed long after your heart began to crack, hoping they would notice, hoping they would care. Yet, they were too blinded, too distracted, too negligent. The universe has reversed the roles, and now they find themselves searching for signs, pleading for assurance, craving a mere moment of gentleness from you, all the while knowing they no longer deserve it. The final twist that fate has saved is overwhelmingly frightening. They are finally prepared to love you as you ought to have been loved, but the timing is misaligned. While they were learning lessons at their own pace, you were mastering survival without them. You were rebuilding, healing, rising, discovering strength that they never believed you possessed. Now, they observe from a distance as you become everything they once underestimated. This truth shakes them more profoundly than any heartbreak ever could. The tears they caused have transformed into the very fuel that now drives your evolution. Somewhere deep within, they implore for a miracle. They understand that miracles do not bless those who disregard their own fortunes. Thus, they find themselves in a state of quiet anxiety, desperately awaiting an opportunity to return what they once took. Yet, the threads of destiny remain unresolved. As the forthcoming revelation promises to reshape everything, drawing nearer with alarming speed. It is almost unfathomable. Recently, their lives have begun to mirror their past errors in the most brutal manner. The neglect they exhibited towards you is now visiting them in kind. In this moment of clarity, they come to fully comprehend the silent tears you endured, the solitary nights you weathered, and the unanswered messages that chipped away at your spirit. Karma has not come in a dramatic upheaval, rather, it has manifested quietly, donning the guise of a lesson, compelling them to experience the same abandonment that they once normalized. The weight of their actions now rests heavily upon them. Akin to destiny itself, demanding accountability. A fearful realization has set in. Their hearts respond whenever your name is spoken, as if the universe has inscribed a perpetual reminder within them. They ponder how many times you lay awake, staring at the ceiling, questioning your worth, when in truth, you were never the problem. Now, deprived of your vulnerability, they recognize it was the rarest form of love that had been extended to them. This epiphany does not merely provoke discomfort, it dismantles them from the core. What they failed to foresee is the transformation occurring within you. The tears they induced have evolved into wisdom and resilience, bestowing upon you a light that refuses to fade. No longer do you wait in yearning, they can sense this shift. Your silence is not void, it is resounding with power. Your distance is not vengeful, it is a pathway to healing. Every stride you take forward serves as a vivid reminder of their stagnation, clinging to remnants of a narrative you have outgrown. This stark contrast fills them with terror greater than that of heartbreak. A haunting moment lingers in their mind, the crossroads where they could have chosen honesty, loyalty, and effort. Instead, they opted for comfort over courage, pride over love, and excuses over growth. The endless replay of this choice brings a longing to turn back time and rewrite their decisions. They would do anything for one more conversation. A final chance to protect rather than harm your heart. Yet, wishes hold no power over consequences, and remorse does not guarantee redemption. Deep down, they recognize that destiny is preparing for a pivotal juncture. Stories like yours seldom conclude without a twist, and now, amid their fear and hope, they await the universe's verdict on whether forgiveness will be granted or if a profound transformation will ensue. Signs have begun to emerge, stark and unavoidable. Doors that once opened easily now remain resolutely shut, while once trusted allies fade away. Each moment of stillness serves as a reminder of the heart they shattered. Their previously confident stride through life has yielded to an unquantifiable fear, the fear of losing someone they never valued until too late. They grasped the reality that your absence evokes a consequence, one that they never anticipated experiencing. When your efforts ceased, when you stopped trying to explain or defend your feelings, they misconstrued it as indifference. In truth, it was a declaration of self-preservation, perhaps for the first time in years. Now, in reflection, they discern every unspoken plea you directed towards them, a yearning for improved love. They are tormented by their failure to listen to the silent cries embodied in your stillness. What wounds them most is not merely your decision to leave, but the quiet manner in which you did so. You did not slam doors or scorch bridges, you faded away softly, akin to a sunset that owed no one an explanation. This silent departure has imparted the most profound lesson of their life. They anticipated your return, as you had done in the past. However, witnessing your healing, your radiance, and your renewal, they now recognize that you have transformed into someone their former self was unworthy of. Their introspection deepens, questioning their motives, their choices of pride over vulnerability, and their unwillingness to advocate for the very person who consistently stood by them. They replay moments where they should have apologized, listened, or simply stayed by your side, each reflection culminating in the realization that they embodied the antagonist in their self-constructed narrative of heroism. This truth resonates within them, serving as a punishment more potent than any confrontation could offer. Yet, destiny is not finished crafting this tale, as it prepares to unveil a poignant revelation, one that will shake their very essence and redefine everything they believed about you, love, and timing. When this revelation surfaces, they will comprehend the true cost of every tear they inflicted upon you and the unwavering principle that the universe does not allow a damaged heart to go unanswered. Recently, destiny has begun whispering a harsh truth in their ears. Every blessing they once relished was a direct result of the heart they so carelessly shattered. Now, with your love absent from their lives, instability, insecurity, and emptiness pervade their existence. The universe has stripped away their comforts, their certainties, and their emotional shortcuts, leaving them confronted with the ruins of their own making. They genuinely come to realize the silence you adopted was not merely an absence of sound, it was a profound expression of everything they chose to ignore. This silence now rings through their life, a haunting reminder of the love they failed to nurture and protect. Their greatest fear is not the loss of you, it is recognizing that they were never truly deserving of you to begin with. They reminisce about the softness in your voice, the hope gleaming in your eyes, the warmth exuding from your presence, and it devastates them to acknowledge that they transformed all of that into suffering. Scrolling through shared memories feels less like nostalgia and more like penitence, as every smile you once offered now serves as a testament to a treasure they mishandled. They contemplate how many times you concealed your heartbreak to spare them guilt, and that thought alone has become a prison of their own making. The irony is sharp, cutting through their understanding. They once believed you needed them, but as they now observe your blossoming strength, wisdom, and radiance, they realize it was they who depended on your love, patience, and emotional generosity. You were the foundation they mistakenly took for granted, a miracle they viewed as routine. As life progresses, they remain ensnared in regret, striving to reconstruct a self that never learned to love without inflicting harm. No longer wishing to reclaim you, they find themselves rehearsing apologies as the weight of guilt becomes unbearable. They yearn to express that they see now, the nights you wept into your pillow, the days you forced a smile to mask your disappointment, the unvoiced pleas for reassurance. They wish to confess that the individual they are today would have cherished you differently. However, time does not bend to regret, and second chances are not assured simply because someone awakens to their mistakes. Here arrives the climactic revelation: your narrative was not destined to culminate in heartbreak. Their errors served as the catalyst for your metamorphosis. Their absence became the reason you learned to love yourself. Soon, they will witness a life-altering moment, the day someone else gazes upon you with the certainty, respect, and devotion they should have demonstrated from the outset. In that instant, their hearts will shatter for the same reasons yours did, demonstrating that the universe never forgets the impact of our actions upon others. Those surrounding them remain oblivious to the silent battle raging within, but destiny remains acutely aware. It compels them to revisit the moments they once dismissed, compelling them to finally understand the heartbreak they inflicted through your perspective. They recall the subtle shifts, the gradual fading of your laughter, the dulling of the light in your eyes, the softening of your voice with each disappointment. In the past, they labeled it as distance; now they discern it as damage, a damage they were responsible for and never attempted to mend. Today, that realization weighs heavily upon them, inescapable no matter how hard they strive to evade it. The most crushing question circles relentlessly in their mind: how many tears did they cause you to shed? They envision you alone, striving to maintain an appearance of strength while wiping away tears before anyone could notice, convincing yourself that perhaps the pain was fleeting. They picture you gazing at your phone, waiting for a message, an apology, or a sign of care, only to receive silence. The thought of your suffering in isolation has become their heaviest punishment, a memory that aches more acutely than any wound destiny could inflict. Each heartbeat serves as a stark reminder of the love they so carelessly mishandled. However, the universe's lessons are not completed. Recently, a shift has become palpable: your energy no longer revolves around them. You embody a lightness, a freedom that eludes their detainment. This realization terrifies them, as they harbored the belief that time was on their side, a chance to amend, to apologize, to be granted another opportunity. Now, for the first time, they fear they have exhausted their time altogether. They watch from afar as you construct an empowered version of yourself, one who no longer weeps for those unworthy of your affections. And here lies the twist: destiny has woven this narrative with intention. Someone else has begun to recognize your worth. Someone who perceives the beauty in your strength, the tranquility in your silence, the resilience of your spirit. This individual would never allow your tears to fall unnoticed. While they remain trapped in regret, another soul is poised to love you as you have always deserved. This realization does not merely trouble them, it devastates them. They recognize that they created the vacancy that allowed this new presence to enter your life. Standing at the precipice of a reality they never anticipated, they observe the person they once wounded transform into a miracle beyond their reach. They understand now that fate is not cruel, it is simply equitable. Soon, destiny will reveal the culminating chapter, wherein the tears they caused will return as a reckoning. Only then will they comprehend why the painful lesson of losing you was one they were destined to learn. They never anticipated that life would humble them in such a profound manner. Gradually, painfully, and relentlessly, the assurance they once possessed has crumbled into a pervasive self-doubt, as each new day serves as a stark reminder of what they have lost. In the past, they held a firm belief that love was a certainty, that their heart would always gravitate towards yours like gravitational pull. Yet, that illusion has shattered, leading to the painful realization that even the strongest bonds can diminish when not nurtured. The universe has granted them a front-row view of their own decline. The silence they once dismissed has morphed into the most resounding lesson of their life. What troubles them most is the transformation they now observe from a distance. You no longer resemble someone merely enduring heartbreak, you appear as someone who has triumphed over it. Your eyes now reflect clarity rather than confusion, your voice conveys tranquility instead of desperation. And your presence emanates strength rather than sorrow. Each facet of your evolution serves as a poignant reminder of the anguish they inflicted. They ponder how many pivotal moments they overlooked, those instances in which you were reconstructing your identity, mending the wounds they caused, and learning to breathe independently of their validation. This haunting contemplation robs them of sleep, replaying memories as if stuck in a never-ending film. One particular scene remains indelible, your final emotional retreat. There were no slamming doors, no shouting matches, no demands for closure. You simply ceased granting them access to your heart. That quiet departure resonated more profoundly than any breakup could, revealing a strength they never acknowledged in you. Now, they recognize that every tear you shed was a warning sign, every disappointment marked a pivotal shift, and each ignored emotion was a step toward liberation, the moment they would no longer be entitled to call you theirs. That recognition feels like a heartbreak without remedy. The universe, in its unwavering fairness, has started to unveil a truth they long dreaded: your heart is no longer waiting for them. It has transitioned to a new reality, a fresh timeline, a different chapter. Furthermore, someone is beginning to appreciate your value, not out of sympathy for your wounds, but because of your healing journey. This new presence listens intently, remains without conditions, and cherishes you without the need for reminders. As fate orchestrates this new chapter for you, the one who caused your tears lingers in the shadows, cognizant of the love they relinquished, one that could have fundamentally altered their existence. Now, they grasp the reality that the tears they inflicted did not diminish you, rather, they catalyzed your awakening. Your heartbreak completed a metamorphosis, your suffering became your resilience, and your silence transformed into a shield. Soon, destiny will present the moment they have dreaded the most, witnessing you loved, cherished, and chosen by someone who values you so deeply they would rather confront the world than damage your heart. When that moment arrives, they will be confronted with a truth they have spent years denying: losing you was no mere accident, it was the inevitable consequence of every tear they failed to dry.